Hi everyone, my name is Hannah and I will be presenting my honors contract for Dr. Whitaker's Sociology 101 class at Arizona State. So I'm going to be talking about the functionalist perspective and Emile Durkheim's influence on that perspective. So to begin, functionalism is a macro theory. Functionalism thinks of society as an organism, how it's made up of interlocking systems that all function together. These different parts of society are all social structures. A problem with this is that since it sees society as relatively stable, it doesn't like and has a problem with change. An example of thinking through this perspective is thinking about college and thinking how degrees are part of a system in our society, such as training our future leaders. I'm going to be looking at Emile Durkheim. So Emile Durkheim was born in France in 1858 to a Jewish family. His father, grandfather, and great-grandfather were all rabbis. He broke tradition by attending a school where he studied philosophy. He also then taught social sciences at the University of Bordeaux. Essentially, he was teaching the first sociology courses in France. One of his main claims was differentiating sociology from other similar fields such as psychology. He's also a very well-known author. He was the writer of books such as On the Division of Labor, The Rules of the Sociological Method, Suicide, and The Elementary Forms of Religious Life. While Durkheim began writing, sociology was not recognized as an independent field of study. As part of the campaign to change this, he went to great lengths, like I said earlier, to separate sociology from all other disciplines, especially philosophy and psychology. He said that these were complementary fields, but that sociology can actually be a bit more helpful than philosophy. So to talk about his development of the perspective, I think that because of his upbringing, though he did not become a rabbi, he was subject to the structure and social norms enforced by his family's Jewish religion. He also had many teachers at his original university that he studied that influenced him and influenced how he thought about sociology. Especially to highlight Herbert Spencer. He was a sociologist before it was labeled sociology, and Durkheim heavily studied his work, and it's said that with Durkheim taking pieces of Spencer's work and others' work, that he was the one who put together the functionalist perspective. So how the functionalist perspective applies to the world today. So it applies to world events because so the functionalist perspective thinks that since the world is stable, we shouldn't try to change anything, especially when you look at social protest. It is really against that. One example of this that I mentioned earlier is, again, how if we look at college as being part of a system because you get a degree, and that is what's training our future leaders. One example of, so the textbook notes that those who engage in social protest or work to affect social change are often seen as threats to the system because they may put it off balance. An example of this is about a year ago, in wake of President Trump's comments about immigrants, many sanctuary cities reaffirmed their sanctuary city status. So these are places where undocumented immigrants are considered protected. A short time after Trump was elected, many colleges and universities jumped on board with this and labeled themselves as sanctuary campuses. These included University of New Mexico and Santa Fe Community College. The functionalist perspective would view this as a problem because it's standing against the status quo, such as how it is disagreeing with the government's leadership. A more recent example of this is the #RedForEd campaign in Arizona. So Arizona educators are standing up for higher wages. Arizona ranks 50th in median salary for teachers in the United States. That's from Arizona Central. This would also be viewed as a problem within the functionalist perspective because here teachers, students, and citizens are standing up to the government and saying that, hey, government, you're wrong. This is a flaw with a functionalist perspective. It is not good at adapting to change, even though these issues that I previously discussed are things that need to be changed, and I think have great importance to society as a whole. Um, so even though these issues were a problem several years ago, they were things that were not necessarily put in the media or publicized for a few years. This is something that's not accounted with the functionalist perspective, because functionalist perspective is saying, oh, well, this, for example, the wages for teachers, that wasn't, while that was going on, it wasn't a problem a few years ago, so we don't need to worry about it, when in reality, that is not the case. Um, that's just my perspective on the functionalist perspective. Thank you for watching.